Views expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of WPSL, but we do encourage you to like and share them on social media and with all your friends. These things are happening all over the Treasure Coast all the time. And to find out more about what's going on recently or nearby any day now, it's the Sue Ellen Sanders Show, hosted by Sue Ellen Sanders.
Welcome to the show. I'm so glad you're here. And yes, we are back in the studio again. So very happy because it just makes me feel a lot more legit.
This place was COVID empty for a while, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. It was. Of course, one of the last times I was here was a year ago, September. I had COVID.
Wow.
So I think that's why they shut me down out of the system, because I didn't know until, of course, the next day.
There was one other host who passed away from it.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I was just sick as a dog, but
Oh, yeah.
but I'm too mean to die.
No, you're right. No, I agree. You're right. That's
Oh,
the
thank
best
you. No, and I don't mean to make light of anybody who suffered through COVID, but now we're all vaccinated. We're good to go, and
Everything's
we're
going to be
socially
all
distanced.
right.
Yes. So I think we're moving in the right direction. At any rate, so we're back in the studio, and Jenny Tomes is my guest. She is the City of Port St. Lucie Utilities Marketing Coordinator.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
And she's got an interesting background. You were saying before the show started, Jenny, that the last time you were in here, you were the PIO for the City of Port St. Lucie, and you were doing a Port St. Lucie show.
That's right. That's right. Yes, I've been with the city now. In December, it'll be 13 years. So before I came over to utility systems about 5 years ago, I was in the communications department. So I actually came into the city as a videographer. And then I joke, I sort of Forrest Gumped my way into another position. I was the public information officer for 2 years. And I was the host of the Positively Port St. Lucie show.
Positively Port St. Lucie.
Yes, that catchy theme song.
And I need a new theme song. Cliff and I have been talking about that for a while.
I stashed one aside.
Did you?
I keep
Okay, we'll listen
send
to it
that
later,
you.
because I'm really tired of that jazzy stuff. It was good for a while. I think I've changed it like 3 times in the 22 years I've been here.
It's time.
Did you work with
Yeah.
Jan Celeste? I think her last name went back to Celeste. She was doing videos as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
but
I
she
don't
was
know her.
doing the Port St. Lucie thing, but it was quite some time ago. She was also a puppeteer, a puppet maker, and I did a video with
Oh,
her.
yes.
She needed an operator because she was
Cliff
in the
does
show.
puppets.
Oh,
So
yeah.
Yeah, he does Bible puppets. Cool, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was the domain name that we used for puppets that we made into biblical characters for kids to do.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But that's actually
That's-
not exactly
That's
what we're
not
talking
we're
about
here
now.
for today.
But
It's about you
but
today.
I am
Okay.
certainly the queen, or at least the princess of tangents, and so we have 53 minutes, and we'd like to cover all angles of the discussion.
Okay.
So
I'm ready.
Yeah. So. Along with Jenny's background as a videographer, she has, and as a public information officer, she's been working for the City of Port St. Lucie and seen all the growth in the city. And as the marketing coordinator with the Port St. Lucie Utilities, you also saw a need and have filled it. Because you're also a book author.
Yes. So when I moved over to utility systems, there was a position, and utility marketing coordinator doesn't cover it all. I feel like I do a lot of education and outreach too. So I talk to the public. They wanted a person in a role that could, represent the utility system out in the public, right? So at community events. I had really wanted to get into the classroom because, like I said, I Forrest Gumped my way through kind of my adult careers. I was a teacher for a minute. I taught television production before I came to the City of Port St. Lucie. So I really liked teaching. I really liked being in the classroom. So I, as much as I wanted to talk to our customers and our residents, I wanted to talk to kids as well, because I remember, when I was growing up, we learned a lot about, wearing your seatbelt, right? Like that was a big thing when I was growing up. So, they knew that us kids would go home and yell at our moms and dads if we saw them not wearing a seatbelt. So it's kind of that same thing. So instead of seatbelts, now what I talk about is water conservation. So turning the faucet off when you brush your teeth, not flushing your toys down the toilet, not wasting a flush on trash, things like that, just to get kids to be more aware. But I thought too, hey, they can go home and yell at their parents if they see them, leaving the faucet running while they're brushing their teeth and things like that. So that was kind of my thinking. So, I've created a lot of content, a lot of educational materials. I have a 10-year-old daughter myself who is sort of my sounding
Test
board.
market,
She
yes.
really is. We were actually working on something earlier today, and I said, I want to do a new activity book. Here's a pen and paper, like write down as a 10-year-old, what do you want to see in an activity book? So thank goodness I have her, because I'm not 10 years old anymore. So
I think she should start charging you for her services.
Oh,
though.
she does.
Yeah. Oh,
Believe
good,
me.
good to hear. But there are a lot of, when you talked about teaching, and I mentioned the books. There's a lot of characters that just come to mind when you think of utilities.
Well, when I think, so utility systems is a plethora of opportunity, and I joke that I'm kind of a rock star in classrooms because I use all the potty words.
Yeah.
And that's a fact. I mean, kids,
and they all giggle and laugh and cheer you.
Typically, kids are, shut down for using that kind of, but and when I say language, I mean
Poop.
Poop.
You can say poop on the
Poop.
radio.
Yeah,
It's
so
okay.
we always talk about the
Poop,
three
poop, poop.
Thanks. So we always talk about, only flush the 3 P's, and that's pee, poo, and paper, meaning toilet paper. So kids love it. I mean, they really do. I have a necklace that has toilets on it. I'm the toilet lady. They see
good
me.
to
A lot of
know.
a lot of these kids have seen my act before. So I have seen them out at public, in Publix. I've seen them at different community events. They're like, oh, it's the toilet lady. So yeah, I'm like a celebrity among the elementary school kids.
Yeah. That's
So-
great. And it's funny because it was I think it was a Port St. Lucie Utilities water flyer that we got. But when I was pregnant with my daughter, here's a really good tangent that you would never guess was coming.
All right. Buckle
So
up.
I picked out, I had all these lists of names, and I picked out the name Chloe. And then, because we knew she was going to be a girl. And then about 2 weeks before she was born, a flyer came out from Port St. Lucie City Utilities with information, and it had cartoons on it, and it named different things, and
Okay.
it was Chloe Chlorine. And I was devastated. I'm like, I'm going to look at my daughter, and all I'm going to think is Chloe Chlorine now. But I got over it and named her Chloe anyhow. But it was funny that it was the City of Port St. Lucie Utilities. It was some kind of flyer.
I'm gonna have to dig into
Yeah.
the archives
To
'cause
look
that's
for Chloe
Well, I was gonna say
Chlorine.
Chloe Chlorine. You're Chloe. That's how old is she now? She's in her.
She's 27.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
before my time.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm gonna have to go back in the archive and see if I can't find these characters. I love it.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. So, but my point, if there was a point to be made with it, is that some of the material that we get stays with us for a long time.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think it was the dangers of some of the different things. It was some kind of cartoon that we were supposed to share with our kids.
Oh, gotcha.
And
Okay.
the dangers of
Okay.
different things.
Handling chemicals like
yeah,
chlorine
yeah.
and things like that.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. I would guess so.
All right.
But anyhow, back to your books.
Okay.
Because you've got characters in your books.
I do. And again, I mentioned my daughter, my 10-year-old daughter. Her name's Molly, but she helped me write. She came home one day with a bunch of books from the library, and there was one just simply about a bear that just liked to hug things. So this bear was just living his life, but he liked to hug the tree, and he liked to hug the bunny, and there was a hunter in the woods, and he ended up hugging the hunter, and they had this great relationship, but it was such a simply stated book. And I thought, geez, I could write a book, maybe. I mean, if it's that, it just was just very simple. It was a lovely message, but it was just very simply written. And I thought, geez, I could do that. So I started talking to Molly, my sounding board. I thought, what could we write a book about? I want to do something with water, definitely water conservation. So we collaborated and came up with a book that we call Water Hugs. And it's about a little girl named Molly who is at the beach with her mom. And Molly's very upset and kind of comes back to her mom, you know, and mom's like, what's happening? You look so sad. And Molly's like, I love the water so much. I want to give it a hug, and I can't hug it. It just kind of runs through my arms, and I just can't wrap my arms around it. I don't want to give the whole book away. I mean, it's only like 7 pages long. But it's about Molly just wanting to show her love for the water.
Oh, come on, you can tell me. It'll just be
Listen.
between you and me. Does Molly get her water hugs?
Well, Mom sort of helps her see that just because you can't hug the water doesn't mean the water isn't hugging you, because it wraps around you when you're lovely, right? So spoiler alert. Right. So the water, hence water hugs.
Okay.
So we wrote that story, and I thought, well, geez, now I'm stuck. I don't know how to draw. How am I going to animate this thing? If I want it to be a book, I want pictures to go along with it. So during summer, I do sort of the summer, and this is BC, before COVID. So, but I was going around to different summer camps, and I printed out each page of the book, and I gave a page to each kid in summer camp and said, hey, here's this story. Can you help me draw the pictures that go with it? So they did. And I got tons of artwork, and I kind of selected the ones.
And you got to pick.
Yeah, I chose, and of course Molly helped me choose which illustrations would go with which page, and I put it together in a program that we're all, well, at least us in our industry, it called Canva. I'm gonna give Canva a plug. Maybe they'll be,
Canva, the program for people who don't have a graphic artist background to be able to do anything and everything.
And it is free. And if you want to go up a level, there's a $12 a month. I'm not doing a Canva commercial, but I love it so much, and that's how I made the book. But you pay $12 extra a month, and you get a couple extra kind of added features,
including all the photographs. So if you had to do it again and you didn't have time to get to summer camp, you could you can
very easily put either photographs or graphics, illustrations. You could very easily put those elements together. But anyway, so we published the book, quote unquote. We had several 100 copies printed, and I started giving it out to classrooms and handing it out at events and things like that. And it's very cool. We actually ran into one of the young ladies who did one of the illustrations, and I had her autograph it for me, which was very cool.
I bet she was so excited.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Well, Channel 5 did a story on it. They have that Protecting Paradise series, and John Shaman came out and met with a couple of the artists that were featured in the book, and then did a quick interview with them and a quick interview with me just about the book and the project itself. And I ended up submitting it for an FPRA, Florida Public Relations Association Image Award, and we won. So a lot of the books have, I made up little award winner stickers to put on the book, so if you're reading it, it's award winning, and it's a big deal.
Yeah, it is so exciting that you're able to reach more people that way, and of course, you're talking about pre-COVID being able to go out and work in the schools, but you're starting to now be able to get back out there a little bit. And also, as you said, you and Molly are working on some type of activity book that you can do too. I know, there's been a lot of different events, like the Early Learning Coalition events, where you would go and hand out your book, and you also, do events for teachers and for other people in the city, like when the city of Port St. Lucie is doing something for all the citizens to see what the different departments do.
Yes. We actually just finished up city University, which is
I
wildly.
knew there was a name for it.
Yes, it's like a citizens academy, and it is so popular. When we were doing it in person, it would fill up so quickly that they had to start doing it twice a year. But then again, there are some positive things I think that came from the pandemic, but we were kind of forced to go virtual, but that allows even more people to attend. So we just finished up City University utility systems. I present on behalf of that department, and we just went. We're always the last class. I think they go alphabetically, so we're the last class. But I think 50 people tuned in on Zoom to watch it. So it was really, really cool. It's sort of weird being in the council chambers and kind of presenting to no one. You're just sort of looking, they tell you which camera to look at, but it's great. But they, the citizens get to ask questions, put those in the chat, and then you have a facilitator who reads you those questions, and then you answer them. But I try to, as much as we're not in person, and I don't know that with that City University, I don't know that it's ever gonna be in person again, because it does allow for so many people to attend,
to participate.
Yeah, but I try to keep it as visual as possible. So even though they're not there with me, I try to do as many things that they can see me doing. Engagement. Yes.
So the video that I saw of you in the water woman costume.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
So that's our newest character, and my husband really encouraged me. We both are huge, all the Marvel universe, all the comic book films and stuff that are out. I love all of that. My daughter and I, we go to every Comic-Con that we can get to. So my husband kept saying, you got to come up. He's like, it's great that you have these other characters, right? Like these other things, but you need to be somebody. Cause like, I love the term toilet lady. It's very endearing. However, I wanted something a little.
It's better than poop lady.
Well,
I mean,
absolutely.
it could have been way worse.
It could have been, yes.
Yeah.
But I just wanted something different. And I was such a huge fan of the new version of Wonder Woman. I really loved that first movie. I really, really liked it. And that was my inspiration. So instead of Wonder Woman, I am Water Woman. So I created a logo in Canva, and then I made the rest. I made my headpiece. I've got these like cuffs that I wear on my wrists. I've got, thank you, Amazon. I've got a utility belt that has my drain snake of truth on it, as opposed to my lasso of truth.
Your drain snake of truth.
Well, yes, as much as I'm Water Woman, I mean, that also wastewater is also a big part of my life. So I didn't want it to just be solely waste or water. I wanted some wastewater elements on myself as well. Yeah. So I've got my drain snake that is wrapped around like a lasso on my belt. I've got my reusable water bottle. I've got my rain boots on. Yeah, I'm
You're
magical.
ready to represent.
I'm ready to represent, and I was very fortunate that I don't just go to schools and events in Port St. Lucie. I've been able to. My boss is amazing. He kind of lets me fan out, and I can go kind of wherever I feel I am needed. So Vero Beach Elementary School had asked if I could come and do a 3-part series, really just on water. I mean, really just getting into each. You would think water is water, but there's so many different aspects of it. So I did this kind of 3-part series, and then for the last session, I came as Water Woman, just to kind of. They were my little test group. There's only 10 kids in the class, so I kind of wanted to see what they thought, and they were into it. Did you
think they wouldn't love it? You knew that they would love it, right?
I was hoping, but I've added something. Like they saw just the Water Woman with like the jeans. I have like special pants now that are shiny. Like I have a cape now.
Tell the truth. Were they things from your closet?
No. Again, thank you. I made some of it. The cape I purchased. Yeah. The pants were not part of my wardrobe.
Okay,
they are shiny blue. They're tough to get on, but they're great.
I can imagine at the city utilities that they're very happy that you so much love to go out in the community and make all the presentations, because for some people, making a presentation, doing a speech is like
it's torture.
The worst thing in the world. I think it's like second only to death on the list of
Yeah.
biggest fears.
Yeah, of course.
Which is totally ridiculous because it is so much fun to talk and to have an audience where they have to listen
Yeah, I'm a big fan. My boss, when I was telling him about Water Woman, he said, Jenny, you're having way too much fun with this. So there's a fine line. I don't want to think them to think I'm goofing around. I'm creating, content, like you said, things that are memorable, things that leave a mark, so if I go somewhere and I talk, I want them to remember, I want them to take that experience with them, like you said, like into adulthood and,
Well, especially kids, but adults too.
Mm-hmm.
You really connect more with something when you engage with it and when you understand why. Like so you've got like a whole list of things that you should do and shouldn't do
Right.
with water,
Right.
and with your toilet and with your sewer and
All the stuff.
all
the business.
Do you have to do with the water heater too? I mean,
Yes. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
Some people, we get calls about water quality, just their water either, just something is off, like whether there's a new odor that wasn't there before. A lot of times it's you just need to flush out your hot water heater, or your water heater rather. You just need to flush that out, and that solves a lot of the problems.
So do you know, can you explain to me, or is this beyond your purview, why sometimes, what's the thing with the hard water and the soft water, why sometimes when you take a shower at somebody's house, you just can't get the soap off, no matter how long you stay in there, and then other times it's just, it's you're clean as a whistle.
It depends on the source of the water. So it might be well water, which is a whole different animal, or it might be water, that comes from one of our treatment plants. It kind of depends on the water source, where it's coming from. And then, the pipes too. There are times when, things build up on pipes and, those things, like I'm saying with the water heater, that, stuff has to be flushed out. It has to be cleaned. Before I came to utility systems, I mean, perfectly honest, I did not really know much of anything about water or sewer. I knew that when you turned the faucet on, water came out. I think that's why I like engaging so much. I love talking to people because I had to learn when I got here. I knew how to communicate and I knew how to teach, but I first had to learn and teach myself as well. And we have an amazing, amazing staff who are so patient with me, who I've gone to a number of times on certain things. Some of it's extremely scientific, especially water treatment. And I've had to explain that to me again. I need them to explain it to me so I can explain it in very simple terms. And they've helped me, be able to make it very much more palatable, right?
So it's almost like you're translating to the world.
Yes, I try, but even though I've been with utility systems for over 5 years, I'm still very much learning. And even recently, I was talking to somebody and they were talking about some process, and I thought, oh my gosh, I finally, something finally clicked. So even though I've been hearing it and speaking this language, it made sense to me, like you said, I need to understand why something is happening or what the point or the purpose is, and that's really helpful.
So kids aside, and teaching kids aside, what are the important things that people need to know about water?
So my biggest thing is don't waste it. I think, we talk a lot, and I talk to kids a lot about the water cycle, right? So it's this endless cycle. I mean, the water that's on Earth is the same water that's been here since dinosaurs. So it goes in this endless cycle, but we're using it quicker than it can replenish itself. So water conservation, and it's something that's actually quite simple, just very simple things that you do every day. So like brushing your teeth. If you leave the faucet running, I mean, it might not seem like a lot, but just by turning the faucet off in the morning and at night when you brush your teeth, that's 8 gallons of water that you're saving. Now that's assuming that you're brushing for the dentist recommended 2 minutes in the morning and 2 minutes in the evening. So just by doing that, that's 8 gallons. If you have a family of 4, I mean, that really adds up. So, with us, I try to equate it to dollars, right? So you pay for what you use. So if you use less, then your bill will be less. So things like that. But, I think people think, and some people, this may be common knowledge, but I didn't really understand, hand washing your dishes versus using the dishwasher.
I don't. Okay.
Okay, here you go. Ready?
Uh-huh.
The dishwasher uses way less water. I mean, think about, because you're washing all the dishes at once versus when I do it in the sink, because my
Right.
dishwasher is
So
not
it's
functioning
good
at the
to
moment.
use a dishwasher.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what if you're one of those people who uses the dishwasher but only runs it like every 2 or 3 days? Is that even better?
Yeah.
Okay. So yay.
That's way less water. Yeah, of course. That, I will say, that is my worst habit, is that because my dishwasher is not working and I have not gotten it fixed. It has not been a priority. So I hand wash dishes and I leave, instead of filling up both sides of the sink, I tend to kind
let
of
it run.
Yeah, I tend
Yeah.
to wash like one dish at a time instead. So it's not a good habit, but we're all still learning. But the brushing the teeth thing, oh yes, my daughter and I, yes, absolutely, that faucet is turned off. The other thing too is laundry. You're not going to wash one shirt. You're going to wait till you have enough. And most washing machines, you can choose your load size. So you're not going to put it on extra large load size if you're only putting a few items in there. So
or you have like the extra rinse, or you
Yeah.
have
the timed
Timed,
washes.
yeah.
I do 2 minutes. I do the lowest, whatever the lowest. And my washer's a bit old, but I just do the 2 minutes. And then the toilet too. A lot of the newer toilets only use about a gallon to a gallon and a half to flush, whereas older toilets use like 7 gallons per flush. Now, when you're going to the bathroom, you may not know what kind of toilet you are upon, but just be safe and just flush the 3 P's, which we talked about: pee, poo, and paper. Our biggest problem is with wipes, but they're flushable.
Yeah, they
Sure.
say flushable on the package.
That's great. You should know this is great marketing. A $20 bill is flushable. My wedding ring is flushable. I mean, anything technically that'll fit down, right,
True.
is flushable. But will it break down? And the answer is no.
Ah.
Those wipes, they will survive the apocalypse. They don't break down. It's this woven, fibrous material that just does not, and they do the job, but they don't break down.
So what happens to them if you are a house that uses those wipes all the time
So
and flush them?
somehow wipes have this magnetism that they all find each other and they clump together and they wreak havoc. So no matter, in the city of Port St. Lucie, there are folks with septic systems, some folks are on gravity, and then some folks are on our sewer system, which is also known as a grinder system. So whatever you have, whatever kind of a sewer system you're on, those wipes will cause problems. If they somehow make it beyond your house, they're going to cause problems for us later down the line. We have over 1,000 miles of sewer pipe underground. So they will find each other because they just all clump together, and they could back up at a lift station, they could back up at one of our booster pump stations. So what happens is, if they do make it down the line to one of our wastewater treatment plants, they're sifted out anyway, and they're thrown into a dumpster that goes to the landfill. So skip the middleman and use them. That's fine to use them, but just throw them in the garbage. Throw them in the garbage. Do not flush them. And that goes for cleaning, those like Clorox cleaning wipes or makeup removal wipes, any kind of wipes. Just, you can use them. Just don't flush them, please.
So, you have invented Water Woman, and she is probably a heroine. And I just picture Wipe Woman as her
Oh.
villainous.
I am writing. Molly, write this down. That's a great
Wipe Woman.
Wipe Woman.
Wipe Woman isn't very, it's kind of alliterative, but it's not as catchy. But
I like it. But
Yeah.
something with there's got to be a villain, right?
yeah,
I
there's
need a villain.
Yeah.
Ooh,
So-
okay.
Thank
you.
Don't you have a second book?
I do. Thank you. So there's a second book called Who is Francis Fogberg? So in my universe, fog stands for fats, oil, and grease. I
Which
tend to think of
opens a whole new
Oh,
level of conversation
my
for us here.
goodness. So, I think people tend to think of sewer as toilets, right?
Right,
Toilets.
right.
Oh my goodness. Think about the kitchen. Think about all of the things that go down the kitchen sink. That's where that fats, oil, and grease or fog comes into play. So, Francis, I created, and before the book came him. So I actually Molly helped me. I made a character that's made up of everything you shouldn't flush. So his base, his bulk is fats, oil, and grease, but then he also has socks, wipes, underpants. There are cotton balls and clumps of hair.
You got to think that people weren't intending to flush those socks and pants.
Oh, I don't know what people are thinking sometimes, some of the stuff that comes through.
But cotton balls.
Cotton balls, Q-tips, dental floss. If you've ever
no, dental floss. I've been bad. I've been really bad.
Ellen,
I didn't know.
Here's the deal. Think about it. Like,
it's so skinny though.
I know. But if you've got a lot of fats, oil, and grease, think about your own body. So if you eat a lot of food, like fried food, right? So I love bacon. But if you're eating a lot of that, then that's going to actually clog your arteries, right?
Right.
It's the same thing. If you're putting a lot of that down your sink, right, then your pipes will get clogged, because as much as that bacon grease, you can run hot water in the pan and then it'll liquefy and go down the sink, but eventually it will sit still and harden. So now you've got a pipe, that was so big, but now the diameter of that pipe is getting smaller and smaller, because now you've got this like fat, oil, grease buildup all around it.
Can you clean it out?
Well, there are products and things that you can use, but let's just not put it down there in the first place. Some people reuse their grease.
My mom
put
used
it in
to
the
do
jar or
that.
put it in a can or something.
So what I've always done is I'll take a can, like the soda can or a LaCroix can or something, and then when I'm making bacon is I'll pour it in the hole.
Mm-hmm.
But so if I'm too lazy to open the can,
Mm-hmm.
so with the can opener completely, and I'm trying to pour it in the little hole,
Mm-hmm.
there is a little bit of bacon grease that gets in the sink.
Well, of course. Of course.
Is that okay?
Yeah. There's going to be stuff in and I'm so aware of it, but there's still stuff that goes down my sink that you don't catch, or some of it's like, it's not that much. But I'm talking mass quantities, and it's really just, it's a preventative measure. So as much as you can keep out, the better your pipes are going to work for you. The less blockages are going to form.
Okay, so it went out of my head already.
Okay.
FOG.
Fats, oil, and grease.
Okay.
It's sort of all inclusive.
So even if you're washing a pan
Mm-hmm.
that you used oil in it and there's just like a little coating of oil, is that okay? Is there anything else you can do with it?
Not really. I'll take a paper towel and just wipe out as much as I can and throw that away.
Yeah.
But there's going to be some. But think about other foods like ranch dressing, not to, but like cream cheese or butter.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff all has the potential.
Oh, right.
So don't use your faucet as like a pressure washer, to get all this out. Try to scrape as much of that food off the plate or out of the pan into the trash as possible. And then whatever like syrup, for instance. Syrup's hard, and I'm not particularly one to go with a paper towel and try to wipe the syrup off the plate. But, just be aware and do what you can, and don't put excessive amounts down.
Syrup and butter never gets thrown away in my house. No worries.
Your plate liquors at your house.
No.
Well, that's cool.
No.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so back to your original question about Francis Fogberg. So we created him, and he has toys, Legos, Barbie doll heads, shoes, different things, because a lot of toys come through the plant.
Wow.
Well,
Barbie heads?
Well, to make it well, you can't fit the whole body, Sue Ellen. Just take the head off.
Okay.
I don't know what these kids are thinking. But, my precious angel, Molly, would never flush anything down. But other kids, it's fun to make things disappear. And what better way to do that than in the toilet, right?
That's
disappears because it just goes away, right? You flush it, it goes away. We don't know where it goes, right? It just goes away.
And true story. When my daughter decided she was too old for Barbies, I found her and my son upstairs taking the Barbie heads off all the Barbies, and I don't really know where those Barbie heads all went. So we could have been responsible for the Barbie heads in the toilet.
Barbie heads, but the kids love that. They laugh. So one of the activities I do when I go into classrooms, I bring a sewer pipe, and they all freak out. I'm like, guys, it's clean. I'm not going to bring in a dirty sewer pipe. But we create a clog. And I show them how easy it is. So I have a bag that has a bunch of different stuff in it. So I've got I've got a pair of socks and a Barbie. They love the Barbie doll because I bring a full Barbie doll.
If I'd known, I would have saved some of those
some of the
heads for
bodies.
you. Yeah.
Cool. So I, and they volunteer because they want to help. They want to help create the clog. So I'm like, all right, flush this. And oh, Barbie's been naughty. How are we going to punish her? Flush Barbie. And they're like, oh, but she's too big. I'm like, just take the head off, throw the body away, take the head off. Let's just flush the head. They think that's hilarious. They've got a little like a Matchbox car that
You're
they
telling
flush.
them don't do this at home at the end of your
Yes,
presentation,
of
right?
course, okay. So then here's the finale. So now that we've clogged the pipe, now I'm like, but listen, guys, you had a big who had a big breakfast? Raise your hand if you had a big breakfast. And they all raised their hand. So I pick one kid to come up. All right, so go to the bathroom now. And they kind of look at me, and then I have them go into the bag, and that's when I pull out my fake poop.
Okay.
And then everybody.
I'm glad to hear it was fake.
Yes.
I'm very happy about
Yes.
that. Yes.
Yes. So yeah, they pull that out, and the class just gasps, and it's hilarity ensues. And then they start putting poop into the pipe, and I kind of just turn it, a little bit. So I'm like, uh-oh, try to flush it. Oh, it's not flushing. Flush it again. And obviously nothing's coming out the other end because we've packed it so full of other things. And then, there you go. There's your lesson. I said, what's going to happen if you try to flush it? Oh, it's going to overflow. And then they tell you stories about how their brother made the toilet overflow once, or their dad made the toilet overflow, and then they have all these great stories that they share.
And
So it's a
sometimes
mess.
the toilet overflows just from poop.
Sometimes that's the case as well.
Yeah, but we won't get into that.
No. But anyway, so it's a good
Back
lesson.
to the things that they shouldn't flush.
Yes, because we make it so silly.
Yes.
Because it's so silly to flush those things. Why would we do that? That's just so silly. We're just going to make a mess. We
And
can
I
do other
certainly
things.
will remember too, especially the Barbie heads, but also the bacon grease and the butter and the syrup. And so, an easy thing is, when you're through cooking, just take a paper towel and wipe your pan or wipe the plate if somebody left some of their butter left over and just wipe it into
scrape
the
it
garbage.
out as best you can. You're never gonna, none of our pipes are gonna be 100% clean, right? But just as much as you can do. And it's a habit, just like turning the faucet off when you brush your teeth. It doesn't take extra time, but it is sort of an extra step.
Right.
So if you just start doing it and it becomes habit, then you don't even realize you're doing it. It's just part of your regular day. You can be super proactive, but it doesn't take a lot of energy or effort. And that's kind of what I'm trying to really instill in kids in particular. You can do just really easy things. Like if, your family come home from the beach and you've got a cooler and all the ice is melted, well, instead of dumping it down the drain, what could you do with all that melted ice?
What could you do with it?
Oh, well, thank you for asking. You could water the lawn with it. You could dump it on a plant or take it outside. Don't dump it on the sidewalk.
Right.
That's not really helpful, but put it on something
But
green.
put something that needs
Yeah.
the water anyhow.
We talk about, if you have a pet at home, and again, it might not seem like a lot of water, but every drop counts. So, if you have a pet dish, like your dog's water dish that's kind of getting a little funky and, you need to rinse it out and replenish, instead of dumping it down the sink, take it outside, water something with it. It's, grass doesn't need quote unquote clean, fresh water. It's fine.
It just needs water.
Yeah, it just needs water.
So anyhow, we got started with this because I talked about your second book, and your second book is Francis Fogberg.
Fogberg. Or Foghorn. Yes, that's his brother.
Yeah.
Yes, that's his loud brother.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to Francis. Sorry. So we created this character, and then I thought, well, geez, this guy's so interesting. He's got to have a story.
Yeah.
So I wrote.
You are the queen of backstories, aren't you?
I love a good backstory.
Yeah.
It's all that comic book stuff because they all have these amazing backstories. So Francis, it's a poem because I love, like Dr. Seuss-esque, like the rhyming. So there's a poem about him. So I thought, well, there's my next book right there. So, and now this I did illustrate, but I'm using air quotes because I traced a lot of the pictures that I wanted and saw. So yes, I did loosely illustrate, but I kind of just took elements from pictures and sort of just made it happen. I took a picture of Francis and literally put a light behind it and then traced it. So Francis on the cover, that's what he looks like in real life.
That's what he looks like in real life.
He goes around, and even the grown-ups, everybody wants to touch him. Everybody loves touching him. He's sort of interactive.
Well, and you've also, I know in the past, seeing you at different events, sometimes you have different goodies that you give away to the
Oh,
kids.
yes.
And you had these little poops.
Finger poopets.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. How did you find finger poopets?
OrientalTradingCompany.com,
Ah,
of
look
course.
at it.
They have page after page
You
after
need to get all these
page.
people to pay you.
I was gonna say I've
Yeah.
plugged like 4 different
Yeah.
companies. No, they have a huge section of just poop related items.
Wow.
So they're color. I like them because they're colorful. I
Yes.
prefer.
Yeah.
I mean, I love a realistic one, but I love a colorful one as well. So they've got little. You put them on your finger and you have a little puppet show. if
Did
you'd
you
like.
name them poopets?
I did.
Yeah,
Yes.
so that's very creative.
Because they're just called like poop emoji finger
yeah.
puppets. I'm
Yeah.
like, no.
Yeah.
You guys missed an opportunity there.
And all of us have had. he's drawing. Cliff's drawing our
Ooh,
our
emojis
poopet.
now.
Yeah, yeah, and they do have emojis that are poop
Oh, yeah.
emojis
Oh,
too.
that's amazing.
But everybody, I can remember growing up and having fake poop, where you could buy fake poop. You
Oh,
could,
yeah.
What was that store at the mall that you
Like
could
Spencer's.
go to? Spencer's Gifts. That was
Yes.
it. So we've
Yes.
gotten somebody else covered
I
there.
know.
I don't think they're around anymore, though. Are they? Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. So, but you could buy the fake poop,
Yeah.
and so that how did poop become so
Cool.
important and cool?
I don't know. You know what? There's
Marketing.
marketing. Absolutely. Well, there's a book called.
That's a PR story.
Oh yeah. There's a
Or
book
PUs.
called. There's a book called Everybody Poops, and I think when kids are potty training,
Yeah.
I know that when my daughter was little, we had a Sesame Street situation at our house, and everything was Elmo. And Elmo, again, plugging, but Elmo had a DVD called Elmo's Potty Time, and it was awesome. And it's about him on the potty, and his dad comes in, and they're talking about the different names of poop, and people have different names for it. I mean, there's a list, and it just, she loved it. So I think, we talked, especially as parents, I mean, that was common conversation in my
Yeah.
house with the poop, and, it was a big deal, on the potty for the first time, and it's a big deal.
There was a video that my kids were raised with so long ago that it was a video DVD, not a DVD, it was a
VHS.
VHS,
Ooh, a
yes.
tape.
But it was called Potty Time,
Yes.
POTTY
Yes.
instead of party.
Yes.
And one of the songs is I'm a Super Duper Pooper.
Oh,
And I swear to God, my kids are 27 and 28. We still sing that song. Not frequently, and they don't.
You-
It's
oh.
my husband and I,
Oh.
and we embarrass
I'm
them.
sure they love that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's why they don't like to visit. But the whole idea is to make something fun and exciting, and you don't have a
Absolutely.
song for Francis.
We've been thinking about that. Molly and I were talking about that today, about having theme songs, and she's a musician. She plays the drums. I said, well, you got to come up with something for me. I need something, because that is one thing I'm not capable of. I can fake a lot of things, but not the music stuff.
Well, she probably
so-
doesn't do a lot of melody with the drums. I hate to tell you. but
Okay.
she could do the background.
All right. Well, if you
Yeah,
know somebody,
yeah,
let
yeah,
me know.
yeah,
If anybody
yeah.
out there, you know what? That's a great idea. I would love to do a contest.
Theme song.
Well, a theme song contest,
Yeah.
like with among kids
Yeah.
or something.
Title theme song
Something.
with a drum. Thunder poop.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
There
All right.
you go.
We probably should move beyond poop here
Oh,
because
sure.
we've spent quite a while discussing
It's
it.
easy to. I mean,
It's easy
it's
to.
part of life,
Yeah.
right?
It does. So, but before we move completely off poop, there's one last question.
right.
Okay. Those sprays that you get?
Poopery.
Yes. How do those work? Do you know?
I don't know the science
Oh.
behind it. If
Oh.
anybody know, I would love to know more, because
Yeah,
I don't really know
okay.
much about it. Yeah.
Darn, I thought for sure that you would know the
No.
Air
answer to that.
freshening.
Yeah.
Take
The-
a wild guess.
This stuff, well, it
I think you spray it before
yeah, you spray
go.
it before, but it's not masking
Right.
it. It actually
It
works
like absorbs
to, yes,
it or
yeah.
something.
But imagine the fun you could have with a spray that you could use, say, at a party.
No.
Party
No?
pooper.
That's what you'd want to call it, yeah.
See?
If people want to learn more
Yes.
about utilities and water management.
Sure.
How do they find out more?
So they can go to utility.cityofpsl.com or cityofpsl.com and just type in utility systems or water. We've got a lot of information on our website. If you would like me to do a presentation, whether virtual or in person, for kids or grown-ups, I'm happy to do that. We actually have a spot online where you can request a presentation, or you can send me an email or give me a call. Nights, weekends, parties, weddings, whatever.
Parties or potties?
We'll most certainly have a lot of fun with hashtags for this on YouTube.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I know.
Absolutely.
And if people like Google Jenny Tomes, will your books come up? Can people buy your books?
Oh, well, it's City of Port St. Lucie, so they're not for sale. They're free. I mean, I give them out if you want to request a set for the class, or I've actually go around. There's little libraries all over the city, all over the county. So anytime I tend to travel with things in my car. So if I see a little library, I'll put a couple in there, just because I want them to get out. So
right.
no, we don't charge for anything. It's all part of the service.
and I know that at the beginning of COVID, when you weren't able to go out to schools and make presentations for groups, you did a series of videos too.
I did, yeah.
Because I know I shared them.
Yes, you did. Thank you so much. So because I couldn't get into classrooms, I didn't want to lose that momentum. I feel like I have a really good relationship built up with St. Lucie County Schools, and I really wanted to keep that going. I didn't want Toilet Lady to just drop off the grid. I wanted to keep it going, so
to get flushed.
Yeah, thank you. So I shot a series of videos, which actually worked out amazingly well, because when I go into a classroom, I typically get 30 to 45 minutes, and that's a lot to pack in, and you don't want to overwhelm the kids. So sometimes I stick with just water stuff. Sometimes it just depends on what the teacher wants me to talk about. So with this video series, I could focus on each aspect. There's 14 videos total. I could never, that's like 2 hours worth of me yapping. Nobody wants that for 2 hours. So if I broke it down into individual, topics, and that really, I had a lot of fun. So I sent those links to groups like organizations like ELC and just different Boys and Girls Club, and different entities and different homeschool groups. I'd created quite a contact list, so I wanted to keep that information going, and just make those resources available.
The other thing that's neat is you've connected your resources, whether they be video or presentation, to Common Core information.
Yes.
So you're actually, you can have a teacher use that as part of what they need to do. They have boxes that they need to check off.
The Sunshine State
the
standards.
Yes, it's not Common Core anymore. It's Sunshine
That's
State.
math. I don't do that. No math.
Okay.
No thanks. But I love. I love going into the classrooms, and I as much fun as we have, I want it to be educational, and I want it to be beneficial. I don't want to come into a class and just be disruptive for 45 minutes and get the kids all hopped up on toilets and poop and nonsense. And I wanted them to really learn and to really get something out of it. I want them to have fun, but I also want them to learn. So it was really important to me. I worked with St. Lucie County, the science lead. Her name's Beth Bonby, and she's amazing. She sat down with me, and we really went over all of the different things I talk about, and she helped me align them. So if you go to our website, the education page, all of the different activities I do, they are all aligned with multiple standards. So that was really important to me. I really wanted to make that connection. So as much as it's a potty party, it's also, the kids are going to get something out of it.
What would you say the age range of kids that, in some of your videos the humor is almost addressed to any age.
Right.
Or I'm just very young at heart.
Yes, that's what it is. You like all my jokes.
Yeah.
So definitely elementary school kids, I think, like me. I think middle school kids, high school, I don't really get into high schools a lot, but definitely elementary school kids, I would say I communicate with the most. And some of those little lesson videos are a little higher, a little higher level. Like like a kindergartner's not going to get so much the water cycle and how we treat wastewater and microorganisms and things like that. But I try to make them at least fun to watch, even if they don't quite understand what I'm talking about. Because again, very visual, a lot of demonstrations. I mean, I went through treating wastewater with various things I had in my kitchen, like a salad spinner and different things. Like it gets wild. So we, just as much as I can demonstrate.
So it's worth watching. A series worth watching.
I think so. And it's another award winner.
Yes.
Florida Public Relations Association. I got an image
I bet
award.
they just love when they see Jenny Tomes on an entry.
You never know what you're gonna get.
Yes.
So it's different. It's different, and I like it. I like it so much.
Yeah. So and that's so people can get they can get information on the books. They can view the videos. They can do all this on the City of Port St. Lucie website.
Absolutely.
In the utilities. So first you go to City of Port St. Lucie website, and then you click on
There's
the
a wonderful search engine. So, I mean, you can go up and kind of go through the menus to navigate, but I think it's easiest just to type in utility or utility systems in the search bar, and then that'll get you right to all of that information.
Okay. And again, you do presentations for adults as well.
Yes. Yeah. So I've good job. I have spoken to like Rotary clubs, homeowners associations, and I do a lot of the same stuff. I mean, we don't clog the pipe. That's a little much. But
no
we do,
Barbie heads.
No Barbie heads. But we do a flush test because I want them to be very clear on what happens to toilet paper versus what happens to a wipe. So we do a flush test. It's like I'm like Vanna White up there, and I've got my 2 bowls that are my toilets, and we fill them with water. And I get one willing participant comes up, and they play the role of toilet number 1, and they get a whisk, and they simulate a flush with the toilet paper, and it very quickly breaks down. I mean, it does exactly what it's supposed to do. Even that fancy stuff with the bears. I'm not plugging any other companies, but you know what I'm talking about. That doubled quilted, that amazing stuff. Even that will break down like it's supposed to with just a few turns of the whisk. So then we flush a wipe, and they whisk it, and they whisk it, and they whisk it, and nothing happens. And then I show them a magic trick where I pick the wipe up, I go into the toilet, right, and I pick up it, and I wring it out, and I show that it has not lost its shape at all. So that's the flush test.
We have learned so much here. I appreciate you being here listening to us. I appreciate Jenny Tomes, who is the City of Port St. Lucie Utilities Marketing Coordinator. And all that we've learned here, we're on every weekend if you would like to listen to the show, or you can check out the archives of the Sue Ellen Sanders Show on WPSLTV.com.
Yeah.
We'll see you next week with more.
The Sue Ellen Sanders Show, weekends on WPSL, with archives on YouTube. Get there real fast and easy. Go to WPSLTV.com and find Sue Ellen Sanders' playlist in there of her archives, and you can binge watch the Sue Ellen Sanders Show from WPSL. Your talk of the Treasure Village.